It's summer. This is our 5-part Summer Strong series, Natural Health Wins for the 40-plus crowd. We're doing week 4, blood sugar blowouts, how summer snacks are sabotaging your energy. It's not just ice cream and barbecue sauce. Even healthy summer fruits can send your blood sugar on a roller coaster. So we're going to be talking about smarter swaps right after this. Welcome, everybody. This is the Life Enthusiast Health Shots podcast, restoring vitality to you and the planet. I'm your host, Scott Patton. Joining us, as usual, is health engineer Martin Patella. Hey, Martin, how are you doing today?
I'm feeling celebratory and summery. It's all good.
Awesome. Hi, George. Good to see you here. Thank you for joining us. And George, he finished his red beans, black rice, 3-seed ground meal and downed it with some kefir. So he is raring to go. Glad
that
to
guy
have you
is
along.
living on a tropical diet.
Yeah,
which is good, right? What's really interesting is that the closer you are to the equator, the more ready is the access to year-round food that's carby, photosynthesis, right? Sunshine essentially, that's photons. And as the photons hit the planet, they are actually slowed down by chloroplasts, chlorophyll, and they're converted into stored sunshine. And it's mostly carbohydrates.
Right.
So if you live close to the equator, you have 365 year-round access to that. No problem being a vegetarian, I tell you that.
Right.
But the further you go away from the equator, the shorter the growing season and the longer the snow season. And so folks that live further away from the equator are genetically pre-selected to be living on not fruit, not berry, and not vegetables. What's that leave you? Hunting.
You know, when you said that, it reminded me of black bears. And they gorge themselves on berries in the summer. And in the fall, they gorge themselves on salmon. I don't know what they eat the rest of the year, right?
Well, then they hibernate. You see, a bear who's preparing to do the winter thing is eating 30 to 40,000 calories a day. That's tenfold of what a hardworking man will eat. And they're putting on gigantic amount of fat reserves, right?
Yeah, because they're going to have 6 or 8 months where they're not eating a thing.
Yeah, nothing.
And imagine the adaptability to be able to be like that, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
I remember driving down an old street one day in the countryside, and my friend says, "Oh, look at that apple tree." And we looked at the apple tree, and halfway up the apple tree was a bear grabbing the apples and just chowing down.
Yeah, harvesting.
Yeah. So, Martin, we want to talk about your sugar plums story.
Oh, yeah, that was a week ago. Yeah.
So bring it up.
Yeah, my daughter has a plum tree in her front yard. And whatever the raccoons don't harvest, we get to keep. Well, anyway, so this came to be just beautifully ripe. So we went up there and we harvested a bunch. And they are ripe. You know, they're soft. They're just perfect. But they only last a week. This is not a lasting fruit. You know, a cherry will last maybe 2 weeks in a fridge. Plum, nothing like that. It's just soft. It goes to pieces. So I had a bowl of these plums. And I ate a bunch of it. And it completely knocked me out. Went to sleep. So then I remembered, of course, here's how it works. Fructose, which is the sugar that makes fruit sweet, does not get digested or absorbed in all of your cells. It only gets absorbed and processed in your liver. In your liver, it has to be converted from fructose to glucose, which then can be absorbed by the cells. And therefore, it just put me to sleep. Had a bowl of sugar plums, and by 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I had to take an hour-long nap because I was cooked.
Right. And is that because of your metabolic type?
Well, actually, yes, but everybody has that same problem. Fruit,
Because it's the liver.
fruit sugar, fructose, is only converted in the liver. So if your liver is busy or not 100% or anything other than fantastic, you're going to have a problem digesting fruit.
Yeah. And you reminded me of a store manager that I worked with, many, many years ago at Safeway in Winnipeg. And he was about 40, 45 in that range, thin, wasn't big at all. And he had been diagnosed with diabetes. So now this is the late 1970s, mid 1980s, in around there somewhere. And so he thought, okay, I'm going to cut out the donuts. I'm going to cut out the sugar. I'm going to cut out, all the sweets and everything else because, diabetes, sugar, spikes, I got it, right?
Yep.
And he had gone to his doctor and got all this great advice from his doctor. And things got worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. And of course, there's no internet. And there's no chat GPT. So he just, he had to rely on what his doctor was telling him. And his doctor, it turns out, wasn't telling him anything because he had switched over to eating tons of oranges. He thought, I'm going to eat natural fruit, natural food, not realizing the amount of fructose that he was sticking into his system.
Yep.
And it was just causing havoc with his body. And he was
actually citrus. Yeah, Scott, citrus is one of the most intense in the department, right? Like if you really want to whack out your glucose or blood sugar, eat a lot of oranges or grapefruits. Yeah.
Yet I keep hearing like grapefruit is really good for like losing weight and all that sort of stuff.
Well, yeah, sure. One grapefruit in the morning, right? But you can't be on a grapefruit diet and succeed. Hey, I did a watermelon diet. Watermelon is supremely good at pushing your kidneys and flushing stuff out. And so one year I bought a lot of watermelons and I would eat watermelon for breakfast and watermelon for lunch. And then I would have normal dinner. And I was dropping weight like you wouldn't believe. Cleansing, very cleansing. And I sure peed a lot.
I bet. That's a lot of liquid.
Yeah. I would have like a quarter of a watermelon for breakfast and another quarter for lunch.
Wow. So half a watermelon.
It was like $5 worth of watermelon every day.
Cheap meals when you say $5 for watermelon and that's your breakfast and that's your lunch, right?
Yep.
Which go out for it, it's like $20 a pop.
Yep.
So this brings up an interesting question, Martin. Like because we're all individual, our bodies all work like similarly, but not exactly the same. How would you gauge it, or how would you recommend somebody gauge? Like, let's say, for me, for example, I love mandarin oranges, right? So I'll have 2 mandarin oranges in the evening, early evening.
Yeah.
I feel fine. I have sleep. I don't have any problems.
Yeah.
But now I'm thinking, well, because I'm concerned about my liver, as you know. So I'm thinking, well, that fructose, is that jolt going into my liver, is that not a good thing? I mean, it's probably not a good thing.
2 mandarin oranges is a tiny little thing. Like, what are we talking about, right?
Half a fist.
Yeah,
in size.
It's nothing.
Okay.
Right now, if you squeeze out 15 oranges and drink that, now that's gonna hit you, right?
Right.
If you eat 2 whole ripe bananas and maybe some pears with it, you're gonna really knock yourself out.
Because that's a
But,
lot more sugar.
oh yeah, way more. The mass of it, right? Yeah, a mandarin orange is a tiny little nothing. Don't sweat it.
Okay. So let's pretend that I'm eating way too much. What sort of things would I be noticing?
Okay, so now here goes right back to the metabolic typing. So if you are an oxidizer, you're pushing yourself into fight or flight stress side. So first thing you'll notice that you're more nervous, and then you'll notice that you're paranoid, and finally you can start getting hallucinations. All the way to that. Like you'll be like on a sugar bender. So if you find yourself that you're getting more nervous after a bowl of fruit, you're an oxidizer. Now, Scott and I, we both are autonomics, so we get calmer with more carbohydrate,
Right.
to the point of falling asleep. So your fruit after dinner is a really cool thing because it's healthy, vitamin, lots of water, whatever, right?
And it helps me go to sleep.
And calms you down, right? Shuts you down. Yeah.
I have great sleeps. Like I'm not always going to fall asleep right away. I'll move around a little bit, whatever. But when I do fall asleep, I am out like a light until my alarm goes off at 6:30 or 7.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the gift of the parasympathetic. The shadow side of the parasympathetic is that you could get leukemia and not do well, right?
From the oranges?
No, from the general being overly parasympathetic and staying on too much carbohydrate for too long, right? Like
Right.
if you're going to do, I don't know, as what do they call them? Nightcap, alcohol after dinner, right?
Right.
Right. Like, yeah, the autonomics, like you and I, we calm down. Like when I was a young man working shift work and I needed to go to sleep no matter what at 10 o'clock because I was getting up at 6. I had to drink 2 beer to knock me out.
I see what you're talking about.
Right.
Right.
Because otherwise I would just stay sober and active.
Okay. So the reason I brought this up was we hear something like fructose, the liver, nowhere else. It can put strain on your liver.
Yep.
And then it's like, okay, so I shouldn't have any oranges. No, like you just said, right? Like two small oranges, 2 small mandarin oranges are going to be fine. And if you notice, oh, you're climbing the walls after 20 minutes after you eat them, or you're zonked out on the floor or sleeping after 2 hours after an hour after you've eaten, then you might have to look at it.
Mm-hmm.
But so often people hear, oh, too much spinach is bad for you, so they have no spinach even though they love spinach, or that sort of thing, right? And I guess so it's kind of like you have to take everything with a grain of salt, Himalayan salt.
Salt is one of the most wonderful things for your summer drink or summer food, especially if you're sweating, because when you sweat, you're dumping sodium chloride out of your body and you need to replace it. So if you're dizzy, or if you can't think clearly, or if you're cramping, good chance is that you have lost too much sodium.
Right.
So your orange juice with a pinch of salt, baby.
Yeah. So what about water with a little bit of salt in it?
Well, absolutely. Great idea. You want to mineralize, especially if you're exercising to point of sweating, or if you're out in the hot climate where you just sweat because it's hot, you have to maintain your salt balance. No exception.
Right. And if you're in a place that has very low humidity, like Las Vegas, for example, you won't see the sweat. Like I was amazed. It was like 110 degrees. I'm outside in Las Vegas and there is no sweat anywhere. And I was like, oh, that's cool. Like, no, it evaporates so fast you just can't see it. You don't get wet.
Yeah, right.
Right?
Yeah.
It was so hot. So you need to be really aware that, if it's hot and you're not sweating, you still need to have the salt. And so I was reading
you
the
might
other
not
day.
see it going. Okay, got it.
Yeah. And I was reading something the other day that said a really good thing to do, and this is why I bring it up, is because you will either you're my myth buster, right? So it said it's really, put a little bit of salt in your water, drink it when you get up before you do anything else.
Yep.
So what would that do to you?
Well, it's a remineralization, especially if you do the magic thing with the large chunks of Himalayan salt, which is what I do, right? Like we buy or we sell, and I use my own. The crystals are about yay big, and I dissolve them, and with it comes the vibrational integrity or energy of the 250 million year ago Triassic, I don't know what, ocean where the trilobites used to swim. I don't know. The planet was young. The life force was strong. It somehow is in those crystals.
Okay.
So it's in that water, and so never mind just the salt. I think there's some kind of a vibrational mystery in there that is additional extra.
Okay.
But the salt itself is important, no doubt.
Okay. So we've been talking about a white powder, generally speaking, but the wrong one. We need to move back to sugar. Okay. So some possible things that people are looking at is taking some fruit and putting it together with healthy fats and proteins to slow the absorption. Why would we want to slow the absorption of the fruits?
Why do we want to slow the absorption? Do we?
Do we? Okay. Maybe we don't.
Okay, so, elimination of stuff, right? Sugar, no, not sugar, fruit. Fruit will digest in your duodenum rather than in your stomach, interestingly enough. So you would want to eat your fruit ahead of other food rather than after, curiously enough. Because if there is a slow digesting meal, like some meat, steak and potato or whatever, in your stomach, that's going to take 3 hours to digest. So if you put fruit on top of it, it's still going to sit there and it will ferment. And in that process, it will cause you to burp. Yeah. It's much smarter.
So in other words, after a meal, you shouldn't have like ice cream with fruit or a fruit salad.
Yeah. The French have it figured out. They have cheese after dinner for snack, and they eat fruit before. You start with the fruit salad, progress into a vegetable salad, then go for the heavy meats and gravies, and you top it off with some cheese.
Perfect. Okay, so another natural solution that I found was using cinnamon and berberine as blood sugar balancers.
Yeah, you're such a master of butchering the English words. This is berberine. Okay?
Berberine.
Now, berberine is the thing that helps to balance glucose. It helps to level out the spikes, right? As is cinnamon. So especially people who tend to get the diabetic tendencies will do better on adding cinnamon to their food, especially cakes, right? It's a favorite flavor of all kinds of carby things.
Right.
And the berberine.
Go ahead.
And the berberine is there to help level out the glucose level so that you don't have the spikes. Like, especially if you're a fast oxidizer, you will have very strong ability to convert food into energy, which means that you burn fast. So if you give it light fuel, like carbohydrate, it's like trying to heat your room with your fireplace by burning newspaper or kindling.
Right.
Lots of
Yeah.
fire really fast, but it's out quick. So you have
Okay.
a glucose spike and then glucose crash. Not very good.
And so does this apply to the cravings that you may have for sugar later in the day or early in the evening?
Absolutely.
So the
Yeah.
Berberine, would that help
Yeah,
with
yeah,
that?
yeah. You could help yourself by supplementing with berberine if you're the type who's got spiky digestion. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you had talked about how the French had it all figured out. They have the fruit salad, the regular salad, the meaty thing, and then cheese. What about before the fruit salad if you have some water, like hydrate?
Sure. Yes. Wine throughout.
Right. Yeah.
Hey, Scott. And you know what's interesting? They actually take what's their ordinary cheap wine and they dilute it with water. They are totally unafraid to dilute wine with water.
Wow. I
And,
never
and the
heard.
Spanish invented sangria, right? Which is
Yeah.
red wine, orange juice or cut up oranges, ice
Yeah.
cubes, and water.
That's right. Maybe a mint.
It's a carby drink.
Carby drink. Yeah.
Yeah.
And okay, so we're in the middle of summer. It's it's 100 odd degrees out there. Everybody is suffering. So we're going to drink lots of sugary drinks and Coca-Cola and stuff like that. That should help, right?
Well, help what, right? Did you hear the latest? Trump just asked Coca-Cola to start putting sugarcane back into Coke, and they said we'll think about it. You know what's interesting? It's a cost issue, right?
Yes.
HFCS, high fructose corn syrup, is cheaper than cane sugar, at least in the United States. In Mexico, cane sugar is cheaper because there are no subsidies. It's the bloody government doing the thing in the first place, right? They subsidize corn, which there gives you cheap corn, which then gives you HFCS corn syrup. Here's a weird thing. Glycemic index compares how the food compares to pure glucose. Now, pure glucose is what you get out of starch, like rice or wheat or potato. Those are 100. HFCS is 87. Sucrose, which is cane sugar, is actually 70. So
Okay.
it's less awful than
Right.
HFCS. And here's the surprise for you. So if you're eating cake, the thing that gives you the high glucose spike is the flour, not the sugar of the cake.
Oh,
Like
I didn't know
bread
that.
is probably just as awful as far as causing you a spike as cake is. There's no advantage.
Right. There you go. Well, and it's just generally speaking, carbs are everywhere, and you need to work really hard to get your carbs down.
Yeah, there, right? Especially if you're the thyroid dominant. Scott and I both got that. The thyroid dominant people gain weight with carbohydrates and lose weight with fat. So if ever we want to gain a lot of weight, we put ourselves on a vegetarian, high sugar, high fruit diet.
Right.
That'll make us fat like hogs.
That's right. We'll look
And what
pregnant.
do they feed hogs, right?
Yeah.
Slop, right? Corn slop, potato slop, grain crumbs, whatever, leftovers.
Cows too, when they're ready to fatten the cows up to go to slaughter, corn like crazy.
Yeah, exactly.
I remember once when I was visiting you, and I don't know why we were doing it, but we were looking at the difference because they'll take apart like a fruit and they'll say this many carbs, this many vitamin C's, and all the nutrients, right?
Yeah.
And we were looking at the difference between GMO corn and organic corn, right? So GMO corn is like got nothing in it. And then we see that first, and then we look over and you look at the regular organic corn and you go, oh, there's no nutrients in corn in corn at all. Like it wasn't much better, right?
No. And so, that's the whole point, right?
Like corn, like, oh my goodness, to have corn on the cob with some butter is just divine.
Yeah. Tastes good. It's good because of the butter.
And there's nothing. And I think, you're right. I think it's the texture, like, the texture of the corn and all that sort of stuff. It's a mouth feeling thing, because really when you think about it, it has no real taste and there's not much to it.
Yeah.
There was one other thing I wanted to bring up about that, but
about corn and butter, or
no.
lack of nutrients and carbohydrates.
Lack of nutrients and carbohydrates.
There's zero requirement for carbohydrate, right? Like there's no need for it. Like you have to take certain amount of vitamin C or a certain amount of the 9 essential amino acids, or you have to have copper and zinc and whatever. Those are required for you to continue to exist. There's nothing like that for carbohydrate.
Right. And that you reminded me of my main point, which was it's almost like an addiction. Like you have the craving and you just driving myself up the wall, like need a slice of bread.
There are some chemicals in it that, well, no, not in it. There's some reaction to the carb that feeds the brain in some particular way. I'm sure of that. It's some kind of a bliss, knock me out part.
Right.
Oh, well. Okay, so fruit. How to knock me out. How to make me lose my girly figure. Feed me a lot of fruit and cake.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to be talking about a few products that we think you should know about, and Berberine is one of them. Yeah. Right after this. All right, so please smash that like button, hit the subscribe, hit the notifications so you don't miss anything. And here we have Berberine. And you had mentioned earlier that it flattens out the spikes, the sugar spikes that people get, and that's really pretty important.
Yeah. Could you click on the second option, the cheaper one? You see, like there are 3 sizes of the Berberine.
Oops.
Yeah, that's quite all right.
There you go.
Yeah.
There are 3 sizes?
Yeah. See, there they are. So that's the size, that's the minimum size, that's the 1 ounce bottle, and that's usually enough to pack around in your purse or in your wallet or pocket when you go places, and you would want to take that. The 4 ounce size is great for people who use a lot of it, and then we actually sell it off at this is a 500 milliliter 17 ounce bottle. So if you really like to use it a lot, or if you have a family of diabetics, then you would want to have the big size. But right. the main point of this is that Berberine will really help you level out your blood glucose processing.
Right. And assist with your healthy weight, encourage natural liver. That's one of the reasons I go through one every 2 months or so. I have one right now. Yeah. So what's the best way to take it? You just take a dropper in
straight in the mouth, hold it under the tongue. Yeah. Yeah, it's a herbal tincture. You want it to absorb into your bloodstream through the mucosal barrier. Yeah, under the tongue.
Under the tongue. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. anything else we need to? Well, so here's the thing about the Life Enthusiast website that I always like to tell people is it is packed full of information, all the details, how to use it, articles that talk about the
relevant data and scientific.
relevant.
If you really want to go,
Yeah.
this one will take you out further out. The ingredients are interesting. There are 4 plants that are famous for being the berberine containing: Oregon grape, golden thread, golden seal, and barberry. So we put all of them in there.
Yeah, there they are. Cool. And the link is in the comments. Yeah. George says it's a true wealth of knowledge and products. Great stuff. And
Thank you, George. Appreciate you.
Where is it here? Berberine. There it is. For those of you that just click on it in the comments and you should get it. And if not, it's there. It is for you. And the next one I wanted to quickly talk about is, I hope this is right, chromium.
Haha. Okay.
Normalized blood sugar. That's why I picked it. And insulin.
Yeah. So it's known GTF, as in Golf Tango Foxtrot. And that stands for glucose tolerance factor. And chromium is that, together with its cousin vanadium. Those are two trace minerals that you want to have on hand if you're one of the types that is overly effective at utilizing carbohydrates. It will help you stay out of the diabetic trap. Yeah.
A long time ago, Martin, chromium picolinate was
picolinate. That's it, GTF.
So that's what this is.
Yeah, well, this one, so this company, CR Supplements, is really cool with the following. They make ionic versions of all of the minerals, and they remove the other side. You know, like you have chromium picolinate or potassium chloride, potassium citrate, potassium malate, whatever. They just take away all of the other side and just leave you with the ion that you want, nothing else.
And that,
so that whole debate, what is the best form of chromium? Well, the ionic form of chromium that you get in water. That's the best one.
So this is easily absorbed, because I remember there was a product that someone was selling me, and they have chromium picolinate, and they said the picolinate helps the body absorb the chromium because it's like a rock, and you can't absorb rocks.
Yes. Yeah, and so this is the dissolved in water chromium that's ready to be taken in. Yeah.
Cool. And its ingredient, as you can see, again, tons of stuff. And its ingredients is water and ionic chromium.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it. Pretty cool. Yeah. All right. And the last one we're going to look at, is vanadium.
Vanadium. That's the cousin. You need both of them.
Both of them.
Well, chromium helps you with glucose, and vanadium helps you with managing the effects of glucose. So if you have a tendency toward being diabetic or toward being a heart attack candidate and all of that, you definitely want to have chromium and vanadium.
Right. So it helps with cholesterol and blood sugar, and aids the pancreas, may reduce insulin resistance. Huh. Yeah. So this supports your heart and circulatory system, cholesterol and blood sugar, pancreas beta cells, teeth and bones, insulin receptors, immune system, promote red blood cell growth by assisting iron metabolism.
Right. We're having to dance around the topic by not telling you anything that would sound like that we're going to help you cure or treat or prevent a medical condition. So visualize the medical conditions that relate to your body, uh, all of them are caused by your abuse of carbohydrates, and the chromium and vanadium are the nutrients that will help you to undo the abuse that you have heaped on yourself by your cake addiction.
So that brings up an interesting question, Martin. What would happen if you just had no carbohydrates?
You would be on a keto diet.
Oh,
Yeah.
probably a
Well,
lot healthier and better off. Right?
Maybe, right? Like it's not 100% anything. Like there are carbohydrates even in broccoli, right? And if you do zero carbs, it's called gluconeogenesis. Your liver will kick into it and it will start converting proteins into carbs that it needs. So you will.
You never have to. I guess my question was, people starve if they don't have food, and there are certain things like you mentioned, vitamin C and proteins and enzymes that we need, or we're going to die. And the thing with carbs is, if you need a carb, the body will make it.
Yes, that's correct. Yep.
Yeah. So
yeah, that's why pure meat eaters survive, right? Like people have gone now on this carnivore kick. This is gaining popularity of late. People have been going full carnivore, and it's working for some, right? Not everybody is a great candidate, but even if you're not, you'll manage.
Well, and that brings up a really, really good point, right? Like someone might say, and most of us are like this, we're influenced by our friends, and we have a friend that all of a sudden is only eating meat and looks great. Like a year ago was a mess, and now is slimmed down, exercising, and just skin looks great and everything else. So I'm going to try it, but it's not for you. And the trick is try it and see. And if all of a sudden, like your energy levels are worse, you got pimples coming out of everything and it's a mess, then call Martin and get some advice, but probably go back to a diet that was working for you if before you were feeling like you were healthy and everything else.
Yeah. Most of our ancestors were not pure meat eaters. Like yes to the Laplanders and Norwegians and Eskimos. They definitely lived on raw seal meat and whale blubber.
There was nothing else to eat.
No. So there it is.
Right. Yeah. Well, so how many of us are Northern Norwegian descendants and come from Eskimo stock?
Right. Anyway, if your grandmother was Russian, you can probably handle some pierogi.
Yeah. And vodka. All right.
Yes.
Martin, we've come to the end of our time together. I want to thank everybody for joining us and you for taking time out of your busy day. I know you've got a big business to run and everything else. If you are interested in getting a hold of Martin and talking about some of your own issues, head over to life-enthusiast.com/appointment. You can get a complimentary 15-minute appointment with Martin and get started on the path to health. Any last words, Martin, before we sign off?
Enjoy your fruit. It's in season for a short time. Just don't overdo it.
Right. And we're going to give George the last 3 words. The first are, I like my and then he says, my grains. I do that too. I hit the enter too soon. And George also says, thank you, Scott and Martin. Thank you for joining us, George, and everybody else that's here. Next week, it's part 5. It's the last of our 5-part Summer Strong series. And we're going to be talking about summer detox and doing it right, how to drain the toxins without draining your energy. So thanks for joining us, everybody. We'll see you next week. Bye for now.
Hey.